Welcome back to Inside Politics here on KTN News. Deputy President William Ruto and his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, might be headed for another serious tussle after Ruto protested what he claims to be a coup in the ruling Jubilee Party. Ruto has already written to the office of the Registrar of Political Parties with over several Jubilee legislators drafting similar individual protest letters. But as our political reporter Muremi Mwangi now tells us, Registrar of Political Party Anne Ruto says that all documents effecting the changes signed by the party Secretary General Raphael Tuju were properly filed with her in office and that she is processing a response to the complaints raised.
Though buried inside the Kenyan Gazette notice dated the 6th of April, these changes detailing the Jubilee Party's intention to change membership in its top decision-making organ, the National Management Committee. The proposal has caught the attention of the Jubilee Deputy Party Leader, the country's second-in-command Deputy President William Ruto, who claims the move is akin to a coup in the ruling party. Protesting the gazettement of the intended changes, Ruto, in a letter to Acting Registrar of Political Parties Anne Ruto, says the Jubilee National Executive Committee has never been reconstituted, adding that neither NEC nor the Jubilee National Governing Council has met to approve any changes to the committee. In a follow-up tweet to the letter, Ruto claims shadowy characters taking advantage of the country's attention to the war on the coronavirus pandemic are behind the move to institute the changes he terms as illegal. But speaking to KTN News, Nderitu says all the requisite documents effecting the changes had been filed with her office and signed by Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju, and that her office is processing a comprehensive response to the complaints raised so far. Besides Ruto, other several Jubilee legislators have written protest letters to her office, including Gatundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria and Soy legislator Caleb Kostani. Insiders say disgruntled Jubilee Party members plan to file a protest petition in court on Tuesday, and that the gazettement might have been deliberately done over the Easter holiday to derail court action. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News.
All right, let's talk some politics now. Dismas, what's brewing inside Jubilee Party? What is your crystal ball telling you?
Well, whatever is happening within Jubilee confirms three things. In Kenya, we don't have political parties. Rather, we have special purpose vehicles run by very powerful political personalities. And if these political personalities, if there is a disagreement, then the weaker one is being told to take a walk. And that's the case for William Samoei Ruto. I think in this political party, assuming it's an organization, he seems to be the minority shareholder and he's been invited to take a walk. And when you look at the crystal ball and you look at all the signs, they're pointing in one direction. He's been told it was nice doing business. Please take a walk. Go and start your own political parties. Go start your own political party. And there are no two ways. But however, what has been very interesting is when you have the second most powerful man in Kenya, in the name of William Samoei Ruto, writing a letter to a junior public servant and complaining that he doesn't know what is happening within Jubilee political party, that he was not consulted and is not aware. Then you begin to ask yourself, the two most powerful personalities within Jubilee is President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. How is it possible that Samoei Ruto does not know what is happening within the political party? Is he really part of the system or is he an outsider? But looking at William Samoei Ruto and the kind of politician he is, I suspect probably he's got another 10 political parties ready, spoiled for choice. So in the next few weeks, we should expect him to pick one from the shelf, rebrand it, and start preparing for 2022. And if he's shocked, then he's not a very good politician, because the writing has been on the wall in black and white. From the time David Murathe started making statements, he should have known that this is coming. The only challenge is that it's come during coronavirus.
Kipchumba, what's happening inside the Jubilee Party? Talk to us about the party, which is basically URP and TNA. And apart from that, the deputy president was quite critical in forming that party in terms of getting the other parties to merge and form one political party, saying that he was trying to create a national political party. Is he now being elbowed out?
Yeah, Ben, whatever is happening in Jubilee Party, Ben, is what we have been seeing in the for a moment in our national discourse. And I think Jubilee Party is caught up in 2022 wars, and I think also an extent of the handshake ripple effects are also affecting the Jubilee Party. But looking at the current scenario, whatever is obtaining currently, Ben, what is instructive to note is that whatever is being done in Jubilee Party, let's say from the letters that have been written by the Secretary General to various county assembly speakers, withdrawing, sacking and firing majority leaders, to whatever has been done in that communication or the attempt to change officials by the party leadership, one starts to ask, why do we have a ruling party which does not hold meetings, a ruling party which is not in sync, which it has some fragmentation? Is it by design or is it by default? And I think anything happening in politics happens for a purpose. And for this one now, whatever is happening, first of all, Ben, it is, having been among the people who came up with the Jubilee Constitution, it is unconstitutional if you follow the Jubilee Constitution, because when you read Article 7, it addresses itself that for you to be a member of the National Management Committee, you must first of all be a member of the National Executive Committee. And for you to be a member of the National Executive Committee, you must have been, your name must have been proposed to the National Delegates Convention, because the NDC is the one that originates the members of NEC. And now NEC is a subset, a National Management Committee is a subset of NEC. Therefore, there are a lot of very many things happening within Jubilee Party, and I think three people are to blame for whatever is happening.
Allow me to ask you this, Kipchumba. Allow me to ask you this. I understand that Jubilee Party officials are serving temporarily. And they're not no permanent officials, which means, in my understanding, you can correct me, that they are appointees of the party leader, and therefore he can, change them. That he has veto power. That would be my understanding. Am I right?
No, you are wrong, Ben, because when you read Article 33 of the Jubilee Constitution, it says that the membership of the interim officials will serve for a period of 3 years, and that 3 years ended in 31st March 2020. And as to officials of the party are not appointed by the party leader. The officials of the party are appointed by the supreme organ, which is the National Delegates Convention. And it has not taken place, which therefore means the officials of the party cannot be changed outside the National Delegates Convention, because they are the supreme body of the party, and they are the people who make decisions as to how the party is run. Even the decision to extend the interim term of the officials is a decision that must be referred back to the NDC.
Okay.
And on the interim basis, that decision can only be done by the National Executive Council.
All right. Mark Bichachi, if I can come to you, those changes drafted or made by the Secretary General Raphael Tuju cannot be done without consulting the party leader. Why would that be done without consulting the deputy party leader, in your understanding?
Well, but the trouble of showing your hand too early in politics is you also get defeated quite easily. Let me explain what I mean. MacDonald Mariga, when he was made Jubilee Party candidate for the elections in Kibra, the Tanga wing showed their hand in the sense that they showed that they can push their own desires and their own agenda without basically going through the partners in the party. And therefore they showed clearly that they had influence within the nominating and managing structures of the party. Now let me ask you a question. Which leader will sit back and know that their party has been completely hijacked by their deputy? It is not going to work. So definitely from the moment the Mariga nomination went through, then you can be sure any politician worth their salt has been plotting for this very day since. Because remember, Tanga celebrated the process, and there was a lot of argument and debate whether Mariga had been duly nominated by the party. At the time, the Secretary General and the other members of Jubilee acquiesced and allowed Mariga to be a candidate. But remember, not all of Jubilee MPs, Jubilee leaders supported McDonald Mariga, and that should have been a clear sign and indication that this day was going to come. And make no mistake, you can talk about the delegates meeting, the NEC meetings, or whatever it is. Make no mistake, there is powerful gears that have been set in motion, and the only thing that the deputy president can do is what he is doing right now, which is his ability to put up a fight. However, he's also showing his hand again, because now there is a list of leaders, MPs and senators, who we know are on one side of this debate. Now, if that list remains at the 34 I have seen, or is it 32 I have seen, then it will show that the deputy president does not have the numbers he claims to have. So he also needs to make sure in his response to this change in the management committee, he needs to make sure he can raise the numbers he's been saying he has within Jubilee. If he can't, then he will come out looking worse for wear at the end of this all.
All right. Husband, there are two questions here over what's happening inside the ruling party. Is it a case of the president trying to wrest the party from the DP, or is it the Kieleweke arm of Jubilee trying to institute a coup against Tanga?
Well, but it could be both. It could be both. And listening to Mark and Kipchumba, you get a sense in which there has been a power struggle within Jubilee, not necessarily between the president and the deputy president as the leader and the deputy party leader, but within factions within Jubilee and the overzealous followers of both the president and the deputy president. Because what happens is very simple, that when Jubilee was formed, it was a question of Uhuru, Ruto, Tano. And they got their 5 years in office. And I think those 5 years were meant to serve Kenyans. And unfortunately, because in Kenya you win an election and you start thinking of the next election, President Uhuru Kenyatta was not thinking of the next election. He was thinking of serving Kenyans. But at least from the perception of most Kenyans, the deputy president is actually the front runner in the next election. And there are all indications that he's doing everything to win the next election. And I think that has brought a lot of antagonism between the Jubilee political party. It has played out in the public gallery. Immediately after the 2017 general election, we made it clear in this show that there is an indication that the lines between TNA and URP are very clear. And it is just a matter of time. The two factions will come out and support different agendas. And I think that is what we are seeing right now. But then coming back to what is happening and what the party has responded, I think the spokesperson of the party is the Secretary General. And he has made it clear that the reason why there are those changes is because a few of those officials have been appointed as public servants. And you cannot hold a public service office and be an official of a political party. And if the Secretary General is coming out authoritatively to use the law and defend a position of a political party that is in power, at least you know what is happening in that party. You know that the leadership of that party is clear on the direction that they want to take. But another thing that comes out clearly is the fact that you may not even know whether the deputy president was consulted or not consulted, whether he had an idea that this was going to happen or not, because again, he could be playing politics, just playing the victim and saying that these names have been suggested and there are changes that have been instituted, and I'm the deputy leader of this political party for purposes of political expediency. But I think the history of this country should be very clear to the deputy president. In 2002, the party that won power disintegrated in the next general election, and it just fizzled out. He should read the sign. Now, in 2007, Kibaki formed PNU. PNU won power, and after that, we don't even know where PNU is. I don't think Jubilee is going to be any different. But the president is trying, or the people who want Jubilee consolidated are trying to ensure that Jubilee remains in power, and anyone who does not adhere to serving Kenyans within this 5 term that they got is probably just kicking himself out of this political formation.
This must, if it turns out that the deputy president does not have the capacity to block these changes, what do they mean for him? What do those changes mean for him, especially ahead of the grassroots elections?
Well, you know, the registrar of political parties has indicated in black and white that she's treating all these letters with either contempt or ignoring them, because she's indicating that as far as she's concerned, everything was done according to the procedure. So obviously, the deputy president has already lost that battle. And when they go to the, if in the unlikely event that there's going to be an election, then it means that he has to use the extra resources to take control of the political party, which, however, I think would be a bad idea. In my view, what he must do is just register another political party, then have his associates and sycophants to run the show, so that he's got absolute control over the political party. There's no way in Kenya you'll ever win a presidential election if you do not have a control over a political party, if you're going to be at the mercy of other officials who are loyal elsewhere. So in my view, that's what he must do: immediately get another political party and brand it, do countrywide recruitment, so that he's got a political party which he runs. However, even if he does that, this is a very sad day for Kenya, because, you know, we are looking forward to having very strong political parties in Kenya that are anchored on some philosophy or an ideology. Because if you ask now the officials of Tanga Tanga and Keleweke, what is the fight all about? Why are you changing names? It's not about how the strategy of managing taxation in Kenya or the pandemic fight. It's just about absolute power, and really there is no logical reasoning. One hopes that at some stage you'll have strong political parties like, say, our neighbors in Tanzania, CCM, that even if the leaders have got divergent views, you still have a political party. Or in South Africa, you have the ANC, that if there's a divergence of views at the top, you still have a strong political parties. But right now, it's very clear that if you come from a popular as a tribe and you've got money, you can, you know, intimidate and bully everybody and establish a political party. But for the deputy president, if he did not see this coming, then he sits in a very tight corner. And it confirms to him that all along he has been saying that is the system in Kenya, and, you know, reminding all and sundry that I'm the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, popularly elected, hakuna kitu yenye mtaniambia. But the statement coming from the registrar for political parties is telling him that you have power, but you don't have power.
Kipchumba, I have 2 questions for you. Number one, the political party system in this country has been criticized a lot. And the Jubilee Party, when it was being formed, when the 11 or so parties were merging to form the Jubilee Party told us that it is going to be a national party, a party of substance. What do you think has happened in those 3 years or so? And then, is this a case of history repeating itself? We did see the deputy president lose control of UDM, United Democratic Movement, back in 2011, before going for URP, the United Republican Party, which he then, joined up with TNA to contest for the 2013 presidential, election as an alliance, before merging, of course, in 2016 to form the party. Are we going to see the DP run or contest for 2022 in another political outfit?
Ben, first of all, to your first question, Ben, I think Jubilee is training because of one thing. The issue that after the handshake, to the Jubilee side of the handshake, from what we have seen and the discourse that has gone on publicly, it will seem like the Jubilee party and the party organs did not get to understand what the handshake was. And in there lies another problem. They started stoking fear. So each person, and for politicians, most of them look at what comes next. That is where the main problem began. So there were a lot of, everybody thinks somebody is doing something behind me, and that is where the problem began. Secondly, to your question of history repeating itself, you have to realize that in Kenya, and it is very unfortunate, and I thought that by having a strong opposition by the name NASA and Jubilee, we will be getting closer to uniting the country around philosophy and ideology. But it seems that we still have a long way to go before that day comes. And the issue is, in the run-up to the 2013 elections, Gideon Moi and Nick Salat had a disagreement with Uhuru Kenyatta in Kanu. And Uhuru Kenyatta, Murathe, and the current speaker were kicked out of Kanu. It is something that you have to realize that what we support in this country are not the political parties. What people support in this country are the names. Even for the people trying to take over Jubilee, I think they are trying to steal the can, the milk can, instead of stealing the cow. The cow is the Kenyan voter. The milk can is the political party. You can have an empty political party, but you will go nowhere with it. What people support in this country, and it is unfortunate, is that people support individuals. Like now, the people who support William Ruto and the people who coalesce around Tanga do not support William Ruto because he's in Jubilee. They support William Ruto, the person, and that is where we have a danger. And at times, I might have an issue with a lot of things about Raila Odinga, but you must give it to him when it comes to managing the political party. You can call it as much as you want to call it, but it is only ODM that has seen now, after Kanu, it is ODM that has been here for the last 3 or 4 elections. And it is something that we should commend them for doing that. We have also seen them having continuous political party organs engagement, which is a right thing to do. And finally, Ben, what we must ask the registrar of the political parties, we must ask her, I know she's in an acting position, but she must know that political parties are vehicles of ideology, and political parties in this country are funded by the taxpayer. And for this case, Jubilee Party receives a lot of money from the taxpayer, and therefore they should not be run the same way we run a private member club. They should be run with a semblance of good governance, democracy. Whatever Article 91 of the Constitution says, that is how we should run our political parties. We should ask questions like, where are the audited financial accounts for Jubilee? Who knows them? How have they used the money they got from the membership and the money they got from treasury? Those are the questions the registrar of the political parties should answer. And 2, she should know that if whatever is happening in our political parties engages fraud, when time comes, she will be held personally responsible for promoting fraud within political parties.
Are we likely to see the DP contest for 2022 on another party's ticket?
My crystal ball tells me that, and from where I sit as an individual, if you were to ask me whether it is convenient or it is the right thing for him to do to run for presidency in Jubilee, my answer will be no. And as to whether he will run for presidency with a Jubilee party is a question that will be informed by very many happenings.
All right. Mark?
Involving and with the issue of, you must know that for you to win power in this country, you must form coalitions. Maybe they'll form a coalition with another person and the name of the party will change.
All right. Mark, we understand, our sources are telling us that this is aimed at, what's happening inside the Jubilee party is aimed at trying to influence what will happen in the party elections. Some sources are saying that the people who are trying to institute these changes want people like David Murathe, who has been against the DP's presidential bid, to remain in the party. Is this something that is viable?
Well, it is definitely viable because Murathe, like any other Kenyan citizen, has a right to belong to any political party that he chooses and to participate within the structures of that particular political party. But let's understand here what the genesis of the problem is. The genesis of the problem started when it became apparent that the deputy president and the president did not have the same agenda. One was focused on using every opportunity to campaign towards 2022, and the other one kept saying, please don't campaign during 2022. And that when that happens at a higher level, then what you expect from the foot soldiers is they'll begin to draw lines between them. And those lines will be drawn at whichever rank of the party. I am very sure if you go to Jubilee, there are Tanga cleaners and Kieleweke cleaners, you best believe. Because the truth of the matter is this, that when you are trying to wrestle for power, you will always face two kinds of opposition. One, those who just simply do not want you to ascend to power, and two, those who are competing with you for those positions of power. And it is best be known to the people who are strategists to the deputy president that those two people exist both within Jubilee and outside Jubilee. It does not help in terms of picking that every fight that exists must be picked. One of the things that the strategists in the Tanga side need to think about is which wars are worth fighting and which wars are not worth fighting. When you come out fighting all the time, you end up fighting everyone. And trust me, right now this may seem like a conspiracy at a higher level, but at the end of the day, my crystal ball tells me that there are people within Jubilee, its rank and file, who are definitely poised against the candidature and of William Ruto as the candidate for Jubilee Party, and that reality is going to stand. Can he form a political party? That's not the bigger question. The bigger question for William Ruto is not forming a political party. Those are a dime a dozen. Can he form a coalition of politicians of merit to stand by him? Okay. That is the bigger question.
It is a developing political story that is that we are keeping an eye on, of course. The letter to the Register of Political Parties by the DP, Deputy Party Leader of the Jubilee Party, to block the changes. The 7-day period for that to happen is supposed to lapse, to expire on Monday. We will be seeing what will be happening there.